Well, happy Monday, LSU fans, and it's a good one for the Tiger baseball team as LSU takes 2 out of 3 from Tennessee, including a run rule victory on Sunday. My name is Bryce Koon, alongside Glen West. We appreciate you watching over on our YouTube channel, or if you're listening on those podcast forms, make sure that you hang out with us on the Go 24/7 platform as well. Get that subscription. Lots of great news. Recruiting season about to happen. Baseball season. I don't want to say dwindling down, Glenn. Hopefully it's not, but obviously the home stretch of the season coming here soon. But let's talk about it. LSU, Tennessee, Glenn, it was as advertised, the largest 3 game series crowd in program history. Broke back to back nights on Friday and Saturday, broke records in terms of paid attendance. Saturday broke the record in paid and actual attendance. It's a fun weekend, man. And it was crazy.
Yeah. I mean, when game one is 3 hours behind schedule and we're not out of there until 2 or 3 in the morning, it's definitely you're in for a long weekend, but very entertaining weekend as well for the most part. I mean, I just thought that when you've got the two past national champions playing in Alex Box Stadium. You knew it was going to be a big crowd. You knew they were going to be energized, and that certainly was the case. And really, on Friday, I mean, you could tell it was going to be a big weekend when a good portion of those fans stayed for the
Yeah.
for the 3.5 hour weather delay, and then through that crazy ninth inning there for LSU, where things were not going right for 8 innings, and then they were able to put together one of the better or more improbable comebacks that I've seen from this baseball program over the last 4 or 5 years. So really a great weekend for LSU. I mean, you had to get this weekend. Like
Yeah.
we talked about it. You needed it for your resume. You needed it just to see that you could beat a team like this. That's an Omaha caliber team that you could go toe to toe with them for the most part, and win this series in a
Mhm.
pretty in a electrifying and fun fashion. So really good weekend for the Tigers as a whole, and that's kind of the sentiments that Jay Johnson echoed after the final game on Sunday.
It's a lot of big themes to talk about. I'm sure we'll be talking about Case and Evans as a starter here. You were at that game on Sunday, but let's go back to Friday where Glenn, I was joking with some people in the press box on Saturday, in fact, and it really felt like Friday and Saturday offensively for the first 6 innings were carbon copy. No hit, didn't get the first hit for LSU's offense till late. But Friday, you saw a team that I say this, we could maybe group both of these offensive efforts together. Friday and Saturday, I think you saw the good and the bad that comes with being quiet offensively. Friday, obviously, everyone knows Jared Jones hits the monster home run over the batter's eye in center field to walk off and win game one. And then Saturday, you don't find the big hit. You play from behind too far often. And then Tennessee kept knocking on that door offensively and broke through there late in the game. So, offensively, let's just talk about those first 2 games because Sunday was an outlier, I guess we could say, of what we've seen recently. Jay Johnson on Saturday really said he doesn't do this a lot, but he praised the pitching efforts of what Tennessee had, saying the 2 guys that they faced were some of the best arms he's seen in his time at LSU. Just your thoughts offensively. How much do you just tip your cap and give credit like Johnson did? And how much are you really concerned with the offense against maybe some of the better arms?
Yeah, I mean, well, he said Friday after Liam Doyle that the Doyle and then Rhett Lauder were the two best pitchers that he thinks LSU's faced since he got there, and so
Mm-hmm.
that's pretty high praise right there off the bat, coming in hot on Friday after that game. But yeah, look, I think look 18 innings there, you could make the argument that Tennessee was the better team. LSU was able
Yeah.
to steal one there at the ninth inning on Friday, but this offense really did look kind of dead in the water for a good portion of both of those first 2 games. And I think, it's a credit to how they were able to bounce back in the Sunday game. Sure, you weren't facing their tippy top arms on Sunday, but you were able to kind of find something there in that Sunday game and really take control early on. But the Friday game, I think, was a little bit alarming just because for 8 innings, I think LSU had 5 or 6 base runners. I mean, not even guys that were like in scoring position or just on base. I mean, they were really struggling to get on base. They were not striking out a ton, but the
Mm-hmm.
contact that they were creating was just not what they needed to do in order to get on base. And Johnson talked about them kind of getting out of their approach a little bit, I think, in that Saturday game, and I think that was just it translated. I mean, like they this has been an offense that has not been at its peak over the last couple weeks. They've been able to survive with wins over Alabama and Tennessee, and I think that's really a sign of a good team when you're able to win when you're not playing your best, especially in the SEC when you pretty much have to play your best to beat these kind of caliber teams. But I think it's a credit to the pitching staff for being able to hold things down for the most part, and certainly this offense, I think, showed you in that ninth inning on Friday. It showed you in the game on Sunday that
Mhm.
maybe there are some things here that you can kind of take from those experiences and kind of just use them going forward here in the rest of SEC play and in the postseason. Like
Yeah.
offense is one of those things where, I mean, we talk about it a ton. Like you fail most of the time, and how you bounce back from those failures is really, really important for an offense. And they didn't do it a couple weeks ago against Auburn, where they were shut out through 3 games, or not shut out for 3 games, but they got swept. But the games against Alabama, the first one they played pretty well offensively. The last 2 were so-so, and then this weekend against Tennessee, the first 2 were so-so, but they did just enough on Friday to get a win, and then they did more than enough on Sunday to close that series out. So I think offensively, if this is a roundabout way of saying that they're, I think, showing signs of getting back to where they were
Yeah.
a couple weeks ago, or several weeks ago, I should say now, but still some work to be done to do it consistently over the next couple weeks and really round into fine form for postseason play.
You talked about offensively, and I wanted to go into some specific names too. Michael Braswell with a nice weekend, back-to-back games with home runs. I kind of asked Jay about that Saturday night, even in a losing effort. He just continues to speak highly about the way Braswell has handled this season, Glenn. And I was telling some people we were watching the game with on Sunday, and I just said, like, it is surprising, and I think it speaks to the character and the vetting process that Jay Johnson have done in terms of what's the type of person that we're keeping in this program, we have in this program. Because, look, man, the football portal just closed, basketball portal's been crazy, and the baseball portal will kick off obviously in the next couple of months. We know that when things don't go your way right now, the thing to do in college athletics is to move on. And for Braswell, I mean, not that he could have moved on. He had a great finish to last year, but it has not gone, I think, the way that he envisioned it. Maybe even Jay Johnson and LSU has envisioned it. But to stay with it, that had to be rewarding in terms of that. Stephen Milam, another guy who struggled a little bit in SEC play, had a big home run, obviously in the losing effort, but made it, back to back. He went with Braswell. Just some of those names that, Jay Johnson had said this on Saturday earlier in the SEC schedule, and you said this too. Offensively, they didn't have to rely on like 1 or 2 guys. It was a different guy every night. I mean, 1 through 9, we talked about the depth. Is it more on this lineup isn't who we think they are, or is it more, and maybe this is where I lean, Glenn, the pitching and the competition is just taking a step up, and you're sometimes, like you said, you're going to fail and you're going to have trouble, and LSU just faced some better competition than they did the first 2 months of the season.
Yeah, well, I mean, they're definitely facing better competition, and they're right in the middle of it right now. But they're going to be facing this kind of competition in a couple weeks in postseason play, and certainly over the next 2 weeks, in particular, with the way A&M and Arkansas have been playing. It's not like this schedule is going to settle down here over the final month or however long their season lasts after that, after these next 3 weeks. But
Mhm.
I think offensively, for me, there were some really nice standouts. I think Jared Jones on Friday coming through with the big hit there was awesome. Dalton Beck, the guy who
Wow. Yeah.
has maybe 5 or 6 at bats the entire year, comes in and delivers the 2 RBI swing to really get you going there in the ninth inning. Curiel with the RBI single to tie it up, and man, his performance on Sunday, if LSU goes on to have a really nice season this year and it makes a deep run in the postseason, and this series win is a big part of that, that game on Sunday will be talked about for a while with Curiel. He goes 4 for 4 with a home run, 2 doubles, a single. Every single swing that he put on every single hit that he had was an RBI swing at least. I mean, he
Yeah.
had 5 RBIs in the game, made a couple nice plays out in left field, and Jay Johnson called it one of the best played position player games he's seen in his entire career, which is
Wow.
something that he doesn't throw around pretty lightly all the time. So they've had some really nice players come through here, and I haven't heard Jay Johnson say that about a whole lot of them. So Really impressive performance from the freshman at the plate on Sunday. I thought Jake Brown came through for him in that Sunday game as well, giving them that go-ahead 3-run homer. That I think after that swing, when LSU was able to put up 5 runs and through 2 innings and take that 5-2 lead, knowing what you had with Evans and Zach Cowan there, I just felt like LSU wasn't going to lose that game, and they were only able to add on to that lead as the game went on. So really some impressive moments offensively. They scored in 6 of the 8 innings on Sunday, which is something that they didn't do a whole lot of in the first 2 games. I believe they scored in only 3 of the first 18 innings that they played in this series, and then they were able to go 6 of 8 with scoring, and which is very much more in line with the philosophy of their offense and just how they want to consistently put pressure on opposing defenses and pitching staff. So much better, cleaner game on Sunday, probably one of the better performances they've had in SEC play at the plate. And we'll see if they can use that as fuel to kind of propel them here into what's going to be a tough weekend at A&M. And then certainly back at the box against Arkansas is going to be another really toughie.
Yeah. Back-to-back weekends, and then obviously you're going to go to South Carolina and get ready for Hoover. I mean, it's rapidly approaching the final 3 weekends of the regular season. Let's flip it over to pitching, because offensively, you knew those first 2 games, especially coming into the weekend, Glenn, you were going to have, and Jay talked about this in the midweek, you're going to have some really great pitching performances. And it probably goes overshadowed because of the theatrics of what happened on Friday night and even maybe a little bit Saturday. But I thought Cade Anderson, Anthony Ianson continued to look as advertised. I mean, Cade Anderson, guys, we were sitting next to each other in the press box, Glenn. I pulled up, I believe it was ESPN's mid-season update in terms of how they rank prospects with high school and college. And Cade Anderson's top 15, top 20, draft prospect per ESPN. That was 2 weeks ago in midseason, and I don't think he's done anything since. They should knock him out of that conversation. Obviously, this past weekend was great. Anthony Ianson was obviously disappointed in the post game on Saturday, but I mean, look, I think they pitched as well as they could. They had good stuff. Ianson, I believe, had 8 punch outs. Past couple weeks he's gone to double digits. Just continuing, I would say the thing that stands out to me, Glenn, is these pitchers and first 2 guys stacking really good performances on top of each other. And that's what you want to see this time of year.
Yeah, I mean, Anderson went 7 1/3, only gave up 2 earned runs, 11 strikeouts. I mean, towards the end of his outing there, he was just looked like he was on cruise control. Just really did a nice job of kind of handling that really tough Tennessee lineup. And Tennessee's got some power hitters, man. Like, they came into the SEC this year, I think number 2 in the conference, I think, in home runs, and LSU only gave up 1. What was the big thing that we were talking about with Anderson the last couple of weeks? You got to limit the home run ball. I don't think he was the one that gave up the home run. I believe that came in the Saturday game, if I'm not mistaken. Tennessee had their home run on Saturday. So, really nice job there by Anderson to get them through 7 1/3. You had Zach Cowan go in for 2/3 of an inning and not allow a run. Jacob Myers pitched the last inning and he only gave up 1 run. But what LSU was able to do there, and I think what allowed them to be able to come back in that game, is that they didn't let Tennessee's offense pull away in that first game. And that was, I think that's a huge credit to what Cade Anderson was able to do, mainly as the starter, because that was extremely important for LSU to not allow Tennessee to grab early momentum of that series. And, for 8 innings there, it looked like they were going to. And, but you got to get 27 outs. And that's what Jared Jones told us after the game on Friday. So, really nice job by Cade. I think you could probably speak better to how Anthony did. I watched most of the game. Looked like the Tennessee was able to, do a lot of what Anthony has allowed to have happen to him before, get a lot of base runners on base, but fight through it and not give up the big crooked number and kind of get through it to some degree. But, I thought that the Sunday game too with Evans and Cowan, which we'll talk about a little bit more after you talk about Ianson, but just what was it on Saturday, the pitching performance? Because it really looked like, I thought Ianson held them down for the most part, but then when they went to the bullpen, it just kind of teetered and got away from him a little bit.
Yeah, I think the best way to put it, and Jay kind of said this, it kind of just felt like the whole game on Saturday you were holding on. You were just trying to hold on, hold the rope, and see what could happen. And you know, a lot of people are going to question, and maybe not now that LSU won the series, and you saw what Case and Evans did, and Zach Cowan were able to do on Sunday. But a lot of people are going to question, why not go to Evans and Cowan? And I think the biggest thing, and Jay kind of, I guess, avoided the answer because he didn't want to indulge in plans for Sunday. And now we obviously know that he was going to start Evans. But I think if that was obviously the plan, the only way Zach Cowan, if you knew Casey Evans was going to pitch on Sunday, like he was going to start, the only way Cowan was going in my opinion, Glenn, was if you tied the game, which they came close to doing the back-to-back home runs, I believe in the 7th inning or the 8th inning, made it
Yeah.
3-2. And then, but Evans actually started to loosen up a little bit, never seriously got on the mound and threw, but was starting to warm up a little bit, toss the ball around. LSU can't get the tying run across. Tennessee then ends up kind of blowing the game out of proportion. I think at that point you were like, okay, that was the bullpen is what it is. You got to we can get in the nitty gritty of that. That's got to improve if you want to win in Omaha. But in terms of Ianson, man, it's the same thing we keep talking about. I mean, nothing, and I guess I need to correct myself here. Nothing's necessarily overpowering. I think that breaking ball is devastating. Maybe overpowering is not the right word, but it's a devastating breaking ball that he throws. But like you said, there's traffic on the bases, but he just seems to find a way to get out of it. He started that first inning, allowed a base runner, sat down 2 of the next 3, and was able to kind of, in terms of strikeouts. So he's got good swing and miss stuff. Tennessee swung and missed at a lot of it, but when they did make contact, they weren't really able to take advantage. And even to the point before Ianson came out of the game, Tennessee loaded the bases 3 straight innings and couldn't get a run in. And so it just speaks to his ability to work in and out of danger. And yeah, of course, like, you don't want to make that a habit. You don't want to be this habitual thing that you just kind of constantly get yourself into trouble. But I will say this, going all the way back to when he was in Frisco and pitching and got himself in trouble. That was kind of the first time we saw that. It's definitely nice to have a guy that just doesn't get too rattled. Like second and third, 2 outs, he's focused on the batter. And that speaks to his veteran presence. And I mean, I think it's also a hat tip to Jay Johnson, why he said so much during the preseason, the fall of the preseason, and then obviously the non-conference portion of that's why we brought this guy in here. And you guys are going to see that. And, to his credit, we've seen a lot of that. So I thought Ianson looked good. It's like what you said, there's some traffic. He navigates his way around it. And with his stuff, that's what he's going to have to do. And I thought he did a good job. Obviously, doesn't end up with a win. The bullpen kind of falters there towards the end. But Glenn, it does bring us kind of into this conversation where we'll kind of, wrap this episode up with maybe the biggest theme out of the whole weekend. Yes, Jared Jones' home run was great Friday, but look, you know as well as I do, fans on our message board, fans on social media have been clamoring for a different look on Sunday. You go back last week, they used Connor Ware as an opener. That was definitely what maybe we thought, at least I thought might be an option on Sunday to use Ware as maybe one time through the order and then go Case and Evans. But Jay Johnson lets Evans take the ball, and that first inning was a little rocky. But man, I mean, Glenn, I know that you would have some more questions on the back end of your bullpen, but we talked about this last week. If Case and Evans can be that guy on a Sunday as a starter, you enter rarefied air as a college baseball team, having 3 guys that can go out there and shut down opponents. And that's what Case and Evans did. After that first inning, he was in a groove and in a rhythm, and as well as I did, likes to really, get into a rhythm, get back on the mound and go out there and pitch. And it was really hard to break him from that. Tennessee's offense struggled against him.
Yeah, I mean it's been the big the big chess piece that Jay Johnson hasn't moved yet this season, and it was really important for them to go. I think Evans in this game, they were able to save him for that Sunday game, and he was pretty electric after the first inning. I mean, he
Yeah.
talked about it after the game where he left a few pitches up in the zone a little bit too much, and Tennessee was really aggressive in that Sunday game in the first inning, just really attacking the fastball, and were able to get 4 really good swings on the bat to give them 2 early runs there. But to Evans' credit and what Jay Johnson said after the game, nothing really phases this guy, which is really rare for a freshman. Like he does not. He goes to the lot. He goes back to the dugout after the first inning where it wasn't his best effort, wasn't his best stuff, and he just regroups. He regroups internally. He focuses on his breathing, and he goes back out there and shoves 5 straight innings of scoreless baseball where he retired 15 of 17 batters. I mean, that's just extremely impressive stuff. And Tennessee is as good of an offense, I'll say it again, as there is in the SEC from a talent perspective, and
Yeah.
certainly from a power perspective as well. So for him to go in there and to get those 6 innings of shutout baseball, by the time he left the game, LSU had it pretty well in hand. I think it was 6-2 or 7-2, something like that. And you hand the ball over to Zach Cowan to close it out for you for the final couple innings there, where he threw a couple of scoreless innings. So that duo in particular, we got a chance to see what that looked like for a full game, and it lived up to the billing against one of the best teams in the country. You'd love to see it again, but I just don't know that we're going to get there until some of these other bullpen arms can step up in a way that in a meaningful way that helps LSU close out some games. Like
Yeah.
they honestly, they were punting in that game on Friday when they put Jacob Myers in there for the final inning. Like they were not going to use one of their better pitchers to throw those final innings there because they were down 3-0 and their offense had shown no sign of pulse. Credit to Myers for being able to only give up 1 run, but like you were able to hold Cowan and you were able to hold Evans for that Sunday game because the offense was just kind of out of it there for 2 days straight,
Yeah.
and for the most part. So you're not going to get that every weekend. There's going to be weekends where the pitching staff has to use one of those 2 guys or maybe both of those guys in the first couple of games. And so how LSU continues to navigate that sequence is going to be very interesting to me. I mean, Jay Johnson didn't commit to anything yesterday. He was pressed about it pretty good about, is this going to be your Sunday guy going forward? And he said, look, we're going to throw him in the best situation to help us win games. And if that's as a starter on Sunday, if that's as a closer on Saturday, he's not going to pitch on Friday because he threw 85 pitches on Sunday, but he's somebody that you could very well see if LSU has a lead at A&M and a chance to close the series out or a chance to maybe tie the series and force a rubber match game on Sunday. I think they'll go to Evans in that situation for however long they need him to go. It's a very interesting predicament, and it's because really you just don't have many other guys that you can rely on there. That's a concern this late in the season, no doubt about it. But I'll also lean on this. I saw it on Twitter. LSU is in this position right now where they're 14-7 in conference play, in spite of all of these concerns that we have. If LSU can get anything out of some of these other pitchers, and they didn't use Connor Ware, and I think Connor Ware is somebody that they can use going forward and give them outs and give them some length in the bullpen. But outside of Evans, Cowan, and Ware, if they can get 1 or 2 guys to just give them consistent innings, that it puts them in such a better spot going forward. If they're able to say, hey, we can go to you for 4 or 5 outs, we can go to this guy for 4 or 5 outs. And there are a couple of guys that come to mind. Connor Benj is somebody that we're always highlighting and think could be that person going forward. But I love the talent of William Schmidt. He just has not been able to put it together in SEC play. If he was able to have some kind of consistency over the next couple weeks and some opportunities, I would love to see that. But I think he's pretty much glued to that midweek role right now. Same goes for Maverick Rizzi and Cooper Williams and some of these younger pitchers that just need experience and need to continue to be thrown into the fire and hope that they can improve. Like there's talent on this pitching staff. What they don't have right now is consistency and the experience of pitching in this league, and you're seeing that really kind of be brought into focus. And so if they can get somebody outside of those 3 that I just mentioned, and Kevin and Evans, Ware, and Cowan, I think it raises the ceiling of this group immensely in postseason play.
It's interesting to kind of talk about because, I tweeted this before the game yesterday. You were entering a time where you could, for the first time, see what a regional could look like. If you don't have Cade Anderson available and he's not available in short rest, and you don't have, Ianson to go, who's the guy? And I think I don't know if it'll happen next Sunday. We'll see. But what I do think, Glenn, is maybe the first 2 days determine, obviously, kind of like what you said, what happens on Sunday more than just going into the rotation. Like, I think we could most definitely see when they roll into College Station, it's going to say Anderson, Ianson, TBD. Like, that's probably what it's going to say going forward. But I think you did learn something about yourself in a regional like atmosphere that the crowd was amazing crowds this weekend, but also of we we have a guy we can throw in a must-win game. Like if we've got to go win this game to get back into the winners bracket or to get out of losers bracket and get into a regional final, however you want to talk about it, you have someone, and I think that's interesting because man, he looked good and he looked comfortable after that first inning, that first couple innings. So it's exciting. It's exciting to talk about, and it's also cool to see LSU rise up in the polls. They just came out. I guess within the last hour and a half, LSU across the big major three, Baseball America, D1 Baseball, and Perfect Game, pretty much a consensus there, Glenn. Number 2 in the country. They'll be heading to College Station, where A&M got swept in Austin. I would say 2 things about this, Glenn, and maybe you can give your take on it, and we'll wrap the pot up here. Uh, you're going to be dealing with a wounded animal backed into a corner in Texas A&M. They were feeling really, really good before they head into Austin. I don't think there's any, and A&M fans won't agree with me, but luckily they don't. A lot of them don't watch our podcast. A&M, there's nothing really to feel terrible about. I mean, Texas is that good. Like Texas is a very, very good team, and they did everything they did this weekend with their ace done for the year. Interesting road series. Tigers, you feel good if you can go get 2 out of 3 in College Station, come back home and get ready for Arkansas. Anything just in particular that you're looking at, maybe way too early preview of that series?
Yeah, I haven't really done a huge deep dive into A&M yet. I mean, I know that they've lost one of their best hitters early in the season, and they've been kind of floundering here for the most part in their season. But look, this is also a team that's won. I think they had won 3 straight series before they lost at Texas. So for the better
Mhm.
part of a month, they've been playing pretty good baseball. And honestly, those 3 games against Texas went down to the wire. I think they came
Yeah.
down to the final pitch in every single game. So it's not like they played bad against the number 1 team in the country. So they've been competitive. It's going to be a tough environment to go in there and win 3 or 2 games, but I think if LSU is able to go in there and compete and get a couple really solid performances at a couple of their pitchers, the offense will be able to hopefully take care of the rest and get them 1 or 2 wins. But honestly, if you can just avoid a sweep and you can get 1 or 2 and maybe get greedy, I think they're okay if they
Yeah.
end up losing this series this weekend. Yes, it wouldn't be great, but I think that they have still so much in front of them because if they got Arkansas the next weekend, which is going to be another control your own destiny, control your own polling spot in the postseason kind of series for LSU, facing another elite top 4 or 5 team in the SEC. So it's not the end of the world if you lose this weekend to A&M, but you certainly want to be greedy and you want to go in there and with the mindset of winning the series and getting as much getting as many wins in the SEC under your belt because right now they're at 14
Mhm.
with 3 weeks to play. If you get yourselves into that 18-19 range, you're pretty much guaranteed not only just a host but a national seed. I think
Yeah.
is a really good way to look at it if you're LSU. So you've got to get another 4 or 5 wins here in conference play over the next 3 weeks. Easy to say, easier said than done, but this is a team that set themselves up in a good position, and that was something that Jay Johnson really kind of leaned into last night when we talked to him after that game. They've set themselves up well to get the kind of results that they want in the postseason in terms of seeding and whatnot. Now it's just about going out there and clinching and making good on those final couple weeks of SEC play.
It's gonna be fun, and it was a great weekend in Baton Rouge. A lively crowd, great tailgating, great atmosphere, and man, it was the Alex Box on. Even shout out to the fans. And Jay said this. Shout out to the fans on Friday for still coming back into the building, showing up. That was awesome. And they got a chance to go back out at the tailgate, feel a little bit better about themselves, and roll back in, which was obviously made that a lot more fun. Saturday was great, and Glenn, I don't know about you. I don't know what it was like. I know you were inside, and I was inside too. Sunday, a little steamy out there, a little,
It was
little
hot.
warm weather.
It
But
was warm.
man, it was a good crowd all weekend. Like we said, over 32,000, largest crowd in a series history for LSU. But the Tigers take down Tennessee 2 out of 3. They'll head to College Station this weekend, and we got lots of coverage on LSU as Jay Johnson talks to the media before they head out there, as well as some football stuff too, portal talk, basketball stuff coming up, I believe, later on today. Glenn,
Official visit season right around the corner.
Let's do it, man.
Coming.
I mean, you and I were talking about it. We just keep rolling the calendar into different times, and it's great. We'll rest a little bit in July during the dead period, and then get ready for college football season. But hang out with us over at Go 24/7. Make sure you get that membership, and it's just it's not super expensive. Come hang out with us. Great conversation. He is Glen West. You can talk with Sonny Ship, and you can talk with me, Bryce Koon, and we will catch you next time here on the Go 24/7 podcast.